Hi, everybody. I'm Perry Jones-Grossman, soul-centered life coach, and welcome back to the Summit Series, How to Heal Autoimmune Diseases Without Using Meds. Now, today I have a very special guest, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later because she was actually beginning a part of my healing before I even knew I was getting sick. So our guest today is Kelly Noonan Gores. And hi, Kelly. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, thank you for being here. Now, I'm going to tell everybody what you do because you do so many things. You're like a true Renaissance woman. Kelly is a successful actress, author, producer, and director. And she produced the award-winning documentary Heal. You guys remember that, don't you? It was awesome. And this takes us on a scientific spiritual journey where we learn that our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions have a huge impact on all of our health. And we're going to get into detail about that later today. So we actually have more power to heal ourselves than what you thought. And we're going to talk about how we can empower ourselves to heal and reverse the symptoms of autoimmune diseases. So, Kelly, first question is, why? What was your why in creating and producing the Heal documentary?
Great question everybody asks, and I wish I had a really awesome answer, but I think it was a lot of little things throughout my life that led to just this real fascination with the human body and how the mind affects the body and affects our lives, really, and how our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions affect our lives and our physical bodies. And the more I learned throughout my life with different circumstances that came up, the more power I discovered I had over my health and my life. And it starts with kind of your thoughts and your beliefs. And, I just started paying attention, and I was just so fired up about that topic that I'd light up talking about it. I could talk about it for hours. I would, devour books about it, like Bruce Lipton's Biology of Belief. And so it just led to this calling, this pull, because I was raised in the entertainment industry as an actor, grew up in LA, and I've been acting since I was little. So the film was a medium that I was really comfortable with, and I knew the impact that, good storytelling would have for people. So I just kind of combined the two, and this passion for empowering people, how I was empowered. All these teachers that I put in the film, they over a 20-year span had empowered and changed my life. So I kind of wanted to put it in a film because people kept coming to me for, why are you so healthy? Or why are you so happy? Or how are you creating this stuff in your life? And so I kind of just wanted to put it together so, other people could kind of be empowered like I was empowered, and led to Heal.
Oh, and it's amazing. It's such a beautiful gift that you gave all of us because, you've taken all those teachers together and their basic concepts and put them together so we have like a one-stop shopping with some significant, powerful teachers that we can apply into our own lives. And today's topic is particularly autoimmune disease. So I was going to ask you, when someone first gets diagnosed, or let's say someone has been suffering for, quite a while, and we talk about the power of the mind and we talk about beliefs, what would you say would be a belief pattern that we truly need to have and implement in our lives to heal ourselves?
Great question. I think, a lot of, when it comes to our health, we've been conditioned to believe that kind of someone outside of ourselves has the power to heal us, or they have the answers. Doctors in white coats, they went to medical school for umpteen million years, and so they know more than we do. But the truth is, the body is really, all of these symptoms are actually feedback. So, whether it's a rash on your skin or an ache in your joint or a swelling of a certain area in your body, that's all feedback that something is off balance. So your body is constantly trying to talk to you, and, and intuition is a big thing that we have all this technology and distractions in our life now that we haven't exercised that kind of intuitive muscle. But we really do have all the answers if we turn within and we listen to our bodies and we start to learn how to learn that language.
Yeah.
whether it's intuition or symptoms, and feedback. So, one of the main core beliefs is that I feel everybody needs is to know that our bodies are designed to heal. And it's attempting to heal in every moment. That's even inflammation is a healing response. It's trying to heal. It's just when we are overloaded, and the body can't do what it was designed to do. So, especially with autoimmune, when you feel, or the doctors are saying that your body is turning on itself, we really have to be careful of that, taking that on as a belief. You have to believe that our bodies are working for us and not against us. And we have to, at that point, when it becomes a disease, it means it's overloaded and it needs help. You need to help it through your lifestyle choices, your beliefs, your emotional work, your spiritual work, to come back into balance.
Yeah.
And so, I think, and then at the very core of any type of healing, you have to believe it's possible, because if you go out there in conventional medicine, a doctor is going to share his or her opinion based on what they've seen. And, if they don't believe it's possible, you don't want to adopt that belief, because the truth is it's always possible. There is always hope. And you got to really just believe in possibility. Their opinion, their prognosis is just one possibility in a field of infinite possibilities.
But I so agree with you. And I know the power, it can be scary. When you get a new diagnosis and you get feedback from your body saying, we're not doing so well here, we need some help. How would you take, because when you first get that news, you go into a negativity. And I know for me, it took a lot of work, and I had certain tools, but what are some of the tools that you learned from some of the teachers that worked with you, and how to take that negative thought, that first negative thought, and switch it into a positive thought, so it gave you some power to just begin the healing journey?
Yeah. I mean, it's that delicate balance, right? Because you want to allow yourself to feel what you're feeling, which, again, I can preach a good game, but I'm working constantly every day on
we all are, right?
It's a constant journey, right? It's constant journey. So, but it's finding that balance. It's like allowing yourself to feel. You can feel sorry for yourself. You can feel scared. You can feel overwhelmed, stressed, angry. Why me? Victimhood. You can feel that for a moment, for a short extended time. You don't want to stay in that, because that is going to go against your healing. You need all the energy you can get, and that's actually lowering your vibration and going to suppress your immune system. Negative emotions will do that. So, not to scare you, negative emotions in a short period of time, that's natural, that's human. We are supposed to feel those. So it's like, feel what you're going to feel, get the support that you need. And then, you don't want to stay in victimhood. So finding, that, just knowing that everything in your life, another belief that you can adopt, that all these people that I've worked with have, banged into my head. It's this belief that everything comes into your life for learning, for the higher evolution of your soul, for the unfoldment of your highest purpose. So it might not be pleasant, it might suck, but the more you can just feel it, express it, whether it's anger, frustration, pain, sadness, and then go, you know what? This is for my highest learning. What am I supposed to learn here? What is the lesson? And start to take steps forward and educating yourself at everything you can about your specific condition, surrounding yourself with people that are going to increase your hope, and be there by you, and not affirm these negative statistics or prognoses. So that's it. It's like, you can feel the emotions. They're human. Don't try not to suppress them, because we will find out that not expressing your emotions and suppressing or repressing your emotions can lead to physical disease later on. But don't stay in victimhood too long, and don't feel sorry for yourself too long. Say, okay, I'm going to learn something. There is a gift in this challenge.
Mm-hmm.
There's a gift at the end of this. So, you got to work every day to educate yourself and find the people that are going to help you through it.
I love that. And I'm going to add one more thing to that, and it wouldn't hurt to watch Heal.
Ah!
At least once a day. I'm telling you, because it is powerful when you hear other people's stories on how they've healed and what they needed to change in their beliefs and their thoughts and their words. That can really start programming something inside of you where it's like, that's a beginning. That's an important tool. Well, there was something else too in here that I love is you brought up trauma. And it does play a key role in us getting sick, whether we know it or not. The beginning and it's knocking on our door, saying we need to deal with some things like this, and whether it's cancer or autoimmune diseases or anything. But how do you think that we can clear trauma from ourselves? What are some ways that you've learned that might be helpful for our viewers to say, okay, you know what? I know exactly what triggered this in me, and what do I do with it? How do I go about healing this?
Yeah, it's hard. I think this is where it's very helpful to find those people that can help you process it, because a lot of it, you may get it intellectually, but to really go into the root of the subconscious and kind of pull that trauma to the surface or open the wound again, it's scary. And just by way of survival, we don't allow ourselves to do it. So we distract ourselves in life, we escape through certain substances or behaviors and numb ourselves. So I find it's very helpful to find practitioners, whether it's hypnotherapists, whether it's a life coach, whether it's any sort of these healers that can Reiki, energy, all of this stuff is the emotions are energy blocked in your system somewhere. So really at this point, trauma is traumatic and it's hard to process it on your own. So I think this is where you reach out and find your support practitioners, that can help you peel back the onion and start to release and heal.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And I love this too. And I'm not going to have you, talk about all the 9 factors, but I have to bring up the 9 factors. Yes. And particularly in the documentary, you talk about, these are the 9 factors that everybody did that healed, right? That healed from something. They were able to go and transform, go to the other side with it. And one of the factors, of course, I'm a soul-centered life coach. So one of the factors that really stood out for me with these people was the spiritual factor. So how does the spiritual factor fit in with your healing and other healings that you've seen? Because it doesn't always mean that people have to believe in God or that people have to, have the same religion. It's not about religion whatsoever. So can you share some of the stories or some of the things that you saw and how spirituality played that role?
Yeah. And so for those who haven't seen the film, the 9 essential factors of healing were actually discovered by a woman named Kelly Turner, who specifically did scientific, really legit scientific research in the area of cancer. So she studied, 1,000 people, 1,500 people that had spontaneously healed. And she was just shocked that research wasn't, digging into what did these people who were sent home to basically die, where medicine said there was nothing else we could do for you. They were sent home and these people healed. So she's like, why aren't we studying this? So, basically she interviewed all these people. She went all over the world and she found that they all did these 9 things. And there were these 9 factors, one of, and what I find and you find especially fascinating is that only 2 of them were physical and the other 7 were mental, emotional, and spiritual. And I think that is not just it doesn't just apply to cancer. It applies to any sort of healing. And that kind of needs to be the ratio, 20% goes for the physical, 20, and then the rest mental, emotional, spiritual. So anyways, as far as spirituality goes, you're right. It doesn't need to be, for me, Peter Crone was one of the people in the film. And he is a performance mind coach, life coach. And he really helped me, it's just, and Michael Bernard Beckwith, he's a big spiritual teacher of mine.
Love him.
From Agape.
To the Agape church in LA when I lived there. Love him.
It's amazing, right? So they both really taught me that like life is for you and never against you. Again, these challenges that come into your life are waking you up to evolve and get you closer to your highest purpose and your fullest expression. So to really develop that, whether you call it God, the universe, life, source, to know that it's energy is love, pure unconditional love that we can't even describe, and that it's always working for you and never against you. That's like the most empowering, healing, spiritual belief. And that, you know, throughout my journey over all these years, making the film and learning from all these teachers, I think it comes down to healing is a spiritual journey. It's ultimately spiritual. And that's the belief that we want to get to, is that life is for you and never against you.
I love that. I know, just to assume that, because, you know, sometimes when you're hit with some tough things, our minds naturally want to go to a negative and go, why is this happening to me? Right? Why is the universe doing this to me? Or why is God mad at me? Or why is all of that? Instead of the perspective of saying, wow, okay, this is happening. You know, what is the message here? What am I going to get out? What do I get to get out of this? That's almost the wonderment of a child, right? Of what do I get to learn here? Instead of, you know, dragged down into such of a negativity where it's easy to play there, but it is like a muscle. And I loved what you said with love, because I know for me, I can just speak for, and other friends that I've seen go through difficult times and particularly illnesses, is the lack of self-love happens in such a profound way. Because I know for me, I did for a moment have a belief, wow, I know I was working too hard. I know I was running around too much. I was drinking crappy stuff. You know, I was drinking Diet Cokes. I was eating more meat than I should have. I, you know, was in a bad relationship I shouldn't have been in. And I was just like, oh my God, just beating myself up, right? And almost looking at the doctor and going, wow, I guess I deserve this. Can you imagine? I know that's what so many people, and I know you guys watching that, you do have that belief. It's like we just tend to just beat ourselves up. And instead of what Kelly was talking about, the important aspect of it is having the love and first giving it to yourself, you know, and giving it to your body and listening to the messages that your body, you know, has. I remember talking to Diane Portia, a mutual friend who you introduced me to. Thank you. And she was like, you know, Perry, listen to the messages inside that your body's giving you, especially the most painful parts. My back was really, really painful. My liver was enlarged. I mean, everything was pain. And I sat there and I started meditating and I started saying prayers and going, okay, you know, liver, what are we doing here? You know, what is the message here? And I know it sounds a little woo-woo, but if anything, it got me out of my pain and like you said, the victim, and going into an empowerment position and saying, all right, let's turn this into a positive. Where's the self-love in this? And what do I need to do to implement that?
Exactly.
And we forget that.
We forget that. And it's you know, a lot of people, it's easy to go to blame, like, okay, so if my mind, my thoughts, beliefs, and emotions led to this disease, then I am to blame. And that's what we have to understand, is that we are always, all of us are doing the best we can in every given moment. I mean, we are doing the best we can. And it's another good one to remember, not only for self-love for yourself, but also non-judgment of others. You know, they're doing the best they can with what they know.
Right.
And you know, even though we could be, you know, we've learned that this Diet Coke isn't really good for you, but if you have this subconscious negative pattern or addiction or loop or this lack of self-worth, even though you intellectually might know it, subconsciously you have this belief that you're not worthy or whatever, you're going to still do the destructive behavior.
Right.
You know? And so really, it's not about blame. It's about awareness. So coming to that place where, okay, here I am now with this disease of some sort. Let's not beat ourselves up from the past. Let's go, okay, now is the time to go into awareness. Wow. Like, and have compassion, treat yourself with compassion and let the past go and just watch, let it teach you things about patterns so that you can, investigate and find what is that core belief system that is subconscious that you weren't even aware that was driving your life.
Right.
That's negative and disempowering. And let's change that. Let's find people that can help us change that, like a Diane Portia.
Yes.
So it's all for awareness. It's becoming awareness, and it's accepting where you are. This is the diagnosis. This is the current state of my body, but I can change it, and I'm going to change it. And I'm going to let go of the past. I'm going to let it teach me what I need to know. And then I'm just going to forgive myself and let it go and make better choices moving forward.
Yes, that's it. Well, you said it. I mean, that encapsulated it completely, and also shortening that time. We don't, if we say, when we say we're going to learn something, and if we say, okay, this is going to take me years and years and years, well, guess what? It will take years and years. But I also learned when I was going to school at USM with our teachers, the Hulnicks, I remember standing up in class and I said, I really want to forgive myself. And Dr. Hulnick looked at me, he says, well, forgive yourself. And I said, well, don't I need to light some candles? Don't I need to get into a dark room? Do I need to go to confession? Don't I need to, he says, what, do you want to party? and I said, because I was realizing how I was making it so difficult for myself. Right. And I said, so what do I do to let it go? He looks at me, he goes, Perry, just let it go. Just say, I release it. I let it go. And I thought, and I immediately started crying because I realized how much I was making it so difficult for me. And I think we do that when diseases happen to us, we take it on, we ID it. This is my Epstein-Barr, my Hashimoto's. It's like, no, it's not. It's a borrowing lesson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just don't borrow. And to, constantly keep putting that self-love in there, which, by the way, brings me to a favorite author. He's a favorite of mine too, is Bruce Lipton. And I like what he calls negative beliefs, the nocebos, right? I love the placebos, the positive things. We have the nocebos. And so I know you've talked about this before, but talk about that for our viewers too, is what does nocebos mean and how do we apply those into our lives?
Yeah. So again, I think it demonstrates just the power of our beliefs and how it can affect our lives. So a good example of nocebo is when a doctor tells you you have 3 months to live with this particular type of cancer or whatever. You will find that if you adopt that belief, I mean, obviously if someone tells you that, you go into panic and fear and you shut down. And what are you going to do? It's just the survival monkey brain. It's our primitive brain is going to try to survive. So it's going to be obsessing about that 3 months to live, 3 months to live. What do I do? And you're just imprinting that in your brain. You're projecting that into the world. That's energy you're sending out. And sure enough, 9 times out of 10, in 3 months, that person will die, just like the doctor said. So you're taking on a negative belief. And almost every expert told me of a story where someone was misdiagnosed. So say they looked at my scan and they said I had a spot in my lung, rare cancer. I think Jones-Grossman said a man came in, the doctors told him he had lung cancer and he had 6 weeks to live because it was this aggressive kind. And sure enough, in 6 weeks, he died. 2 months later, they took out his scans and realized that it was just a glitch on the camera or whatever it was. And he actually didn't have that lung cancer and he wouldn't have died. And Bernie Siegel told me a story about a man with AIDS. He was gay. It was the 80s. He was diagnosed HIV positive. And because he was gay, he saw a lot of his friends going through it and the media exposing how this was the gay disease or whatever. He bought into that diagnosis and he started, demonstrating the symptoms, and he was withering away and he got the splotches and everything. The doctor comes back and says, oh my gosh, we mixed up your blood sample. You're actually HIV negative. He was like, wait a second. And within 2 weeks, fully recovered, healed, because he literally, his mind programmed his body into believing that. So that's how powerful a negative belief can be. And that's the nocebo. So we want to be really vigilant about the beliefs that we take from other people. And that's why one of the big kind of sayings in HEAL is get the best medical treatment and go to the specialists, and get the diagnosis of what's going on in your body so you can be aware and start to do things differently. But don't accept the prognosis. Don't let anybody, whether it's the best doctor in the world at the best specialist, the center in the world, don't let anybody tell you what's possible in your life.
Yes.
So get the diagnosis, don't accept the prognosis.
No, I so believe in that. I remember I was trying to have children. I was trying to have one. I was in my 30s. Didn't happen. I thought in my 40s, I thought I was never going to have them. Every specialist that I went to in LA said, there's no way, your eggs are old, you're blah, 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 all this stuff. And I started believing it. Well, what happened? Divorce happened. He didn't want to adopt. I came to Idaho and I started the adoption process. And then I met this, amazing guy in Idaho. And turns out the first time we slept together, I got pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Yeah. And I was like, so anyway, we were married and have two beautiful teenagers. And I went back and what happened was I found this amazing doctor. I don't know if you know him. Did you ever know Uzi Rice?
Oh yeah. I love Uzi.
Oh, so Uzi was the one that told me, he says, are you going to believe that? Are you believing what everybody's telling you? And he said, I have a gut feeling. You know how he is. I have a gut feeling that you can still get pregnant. And I was 40 at the time. And I thought, oh, Uzi, okay. And he says, but I want you to drink everything green. I want you to think like a cow.
Oh.
Cows go around and they eat all the green grass and they're healthy.
Yeah.
And he says, I want you to start thinking about that. And he was teaching me visualization, and believing that this green juice was going to help me get pregnant. And within 3 months, I was.
Wow.
And,
amazing.
And everybody said, your FSH level's too high. You can't get pregnant. So anyway, I had to go back to one of the fertility specialists in LA. And I walked in with my juice jar, which is about this big. And I was very pregnant. And he said, what are you drinking? He said, Mike, what happened? I said, well, I got pregnant. And he's like, how did you do IVF? And I said, no, it happened the natural way. He says, what are you drinking? And I told him, and he said, are you kidding? He goes, I need to write down what exactly did you put in that drink? And I said, it's not so much the drink, although it helped. It's whether a doctor gives you hope.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was really going to take responsibility, I wouldn't wait for a doctor to give me hope, right? It's something that we all have to do individually. Is our medicine is our belief and our hope that we will survive and thrive in this, right? In this body, in that the disease doesn't need to be in here. But it takes a lot. How do you do that when your brain is on that, railroad track? How do you switch it off to the positive side?
Oh, it's hard. I know. And for what I've had to deal with, it's not even close to as hard as, getting diagnosed with something like ALS. Like I can't imagine something like that. It's so scary and so difficult. And if you're just in this negative spiral or if you're in pain, pain's the worst, right? Pain or nausea. I just went through my first trimester of pregnancy like a couple months ago.
Oh, congratulations. Oh, yeah. Sweetie, congratulations.
Thank you. But it was a really, really tough first trimester. I was in bed for 5.5 weeks with what felt like the worst flu ever. And I hate being nauseous. It's my worst, it's awful. So, and I caught myself, feeling sorry for myself or like, oh, this is brutal, complaining, negative, nothing tasted like nothing. I didn't feel like any food, but if I didn't eat, like I had to force feed myself.
Right.
It was tough. So my point is, pain or when you're not feeling good, it's so hard to be positive, you just want to crawl and scream and cry and whatever. But, meditation is the tool that I fall back on, and also gratitude work. Mm-hmm. Meditation, just breathing, especially if you're in pain or something, just really utilizing your breath. Our breath is our biggest, most powerful tool, and breathe, focusing on your breath, and then you can calm that downward spiral of the negative mind. Which again, meditation isn't easy when you're not feeling good. Right. But it's a practice, and breath work really helps you with pain, with nausea, with everything. So breath work, meditation, and then gratitude. Like, you know, when you're not feeling good and you're feeling sorry for yourself, a really strong tool to pivot is to just start writing all the things you're grateful for, because inevitably we all have just the fact that we're breathing, we're here, you know, we have technology. I mean, we're obviously more privileged than many, many people on this planet. And so just focusing on what you're grateful for can really shift your energy. Yes. And put you in a better place mentally, but also physically. Your body will follow because you're starting to feel good, you know, thinking and focusing on wonderful things in your life rather than focusing on your pain and your victimhood.
Right. It's so powerful. I mean, you hear it a lot, but it really does work. And that's the thing too, is just try it. It's like even practice with little things. You know, how can, if I'm feeling bad about, you know, whatever a small thing is, and then work up, because it is like a muscle. And to see how things can shift. And by the way, I have to add though, it's not necessarily always on our time, you know, that's where, you know, the universe, God, higher power, whatever is supposed to be meant in your highest good of all, right? Is something to add to it. But I was curious about that with you, because I know, you know, boy, it's always a journey. And how do we start when we start going down the rabbit holes? Like, no. I need to roll back.
And it could vary too. I mean, it just, anything that brings you joy, which when we're feeling sorry for yourself or we're not feeling good, you know, you don't have the energy to go do what you love to do, whether it's dancing or being, so just, if you love the nature, like walking and, you know, or sitting outside on a park bench, like just really motivating yourself to do things that bring you joy. Watching funny movies. If you can't leave your bed, watching funny movies. I mean, laughter really is medicine. It will elicit positive neurochemicals to be released in your body, which will eventually make you feel better. So there's all these little tricks and tools you can use, but mostly it's just focus on things that bring you joy.
Yeah, I love that. Being joyful. So I wanted to talk about mindset too. And I know we have, you know, a lot of that. And I've heard the longest journey is from here, our heads, to our hearts, right? Dropping into that is the longest journey. And I loved one of the special teachers that you highlighted in Heal was Joe Dispenza. Okay. And his whole story, I mean, is just incredible, miraculous. But I love how he gives all of us hope, because he's like, I'm not special. You know, there's no reason why I should be living and thriving and why you shouldn't be. And so I wanted you to talk a little bit about the elixir that he talks about and how we can create manifestation to wellness.
Yeah, I think he is a really good example. Before I get into that, he's an example of like the reason he healed. And again, you can watch the movie. A lot of you are probably aware of Joe Dispenza and his teachings and his personal story. He healed his spine, was supposed to be paralyzed, possibly never walking again. And he was bedridden. So he just every day practiced with his mind, visualizing his spine healing vertebrae by vertebrae. And sure enough, it healed in a relatively very short period of time. So, but he demonstrates that it takes real commitment and determination and focus. He was focused, and he would lose his attention, and then he'd practice it. And he did this on a daily basis for hours and hours and hours until it became easy for him. But he practiced, and it was not easy. And he was frustrated and he was angry, but he just still did the work, you know, and that's the thing. Healing takes work. It takes commitment. It takes focus. And unfortunately, in today's society, we're kind of, with all this wonderful technology we have, we've kind of become addicted to convenience and easy, which the pharmaceutical companies and the medical establishment are capitalizing on, because they are just offering us this magical pill, which will then lead to 20 other problems, which will also take pills. So the quick fix is not going to be sustainable in the long term. And we may need a quick fix just to survive the present moment and the pain or whatever, you know, stop the bleeding per se.
Right.
But ultimately, the long-term healing journey takes hard work and commitment. And so he's a great example of that. Yeah. And, you know, he really talks about the quantum physical healing aspect. So rather than the Newtonian physics of cause and effect. Mm-hmm. He uses the mind and the heart to cause an effect. So it's essentially starting to visualize and connect with your visualizing mind with your feeling heart, which then makes that journey, that path shorter. So connecting the visualizing mind with the feeling heart, the emotions, this elevated emotion, as he calls them, of love, joy, gratitude, compassion. And so if you are in a state of disease, you would practice every day visualizing yourself healthy again, doing things that you love doing, feeling in your heart the feeling of you doing that, whether it's even just taking a hot shower or watching a sunset with a loved one or swimming in the ocean or whatever these things are that you're unable to do in the present. But start to visualize the future that you want and feel into it. And doing that over and practicing that over and over will fire and wire new circuits in your brain, and you'll actually elicit that healing, that feeling, and that future in your life and your body. Pretty wild. So it's quantum physics, but he teaches it. He's an example of it, and it's very powerful.
It's so powerful. I mean, we're energy, right?
Yeah.
Everything about us is energy, and it's important to talk about protecting ourselves from toxic people, toxic situations, toxic thoughts, feelings. You know, we're going to give you permission to take care of yourself and to hold boundaries for yourself, right? And to hold that, it's like a sacred space for your healing, because it is a special time, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a negative, you know, and how we actually have the power within us, and with a greater power working with us so that we can be on that, you know, healing pathway. Well, is there anything else, Callie, we haven't talked about that you feel needs to come forward to help, you know, people that are watching? Some other last bit of tidbits or something?
I don't think so. I think we like really covered the main spots. It's like, you know, the big takeaways of Heal. And again, I encourage you to watch it, just because the more inspiring stories of people who have healed when they were told they could not, you know, those just strengthen your belief. So that was the intention of Heal, was to kind of offer up this platter of awareness, and then offer stories that would strengthen your belief that it's possible, so that you could go, you know, see what resonates with you most in the film, and then you dive into that deeper, because there's only so much you can do with film. So it's a little 101 version. But, you know, it's every expert in the film said to, we just lost power, sorry. Every expert in the film said to, you know, educate yourself more than, you know more about what's going on with your body than your doctor knows. Right. So that you can go in there and you could, you know, take agency, like take power back for your health, and you ask them the questions, and you keep searching until you find a doctor that will treat you holistically. There's many integrative doctors out there, people like Uzi Rice, who will enhance your hope and encourage you and offer solutions that treat your mind, body, and your spirit. Those are the kinds of doctors that we need now. And the more people that demand those kinds of doctors, the more these normal medical conventional doctors will have to evolve into a holistic treatment protocol. So
looking forward to that.
Yeah,
definitely. Well, and you've got a special gift for our viewers too. I'm gonna let you tell them all about.
Oh yeah. So if you guys, any of you are intrigued and want to watch Heal, you can go to healdocumentary.com and purchase a DVD. And in the checkout, you can put in the code HEAL AUTOIMMUNE, all one word, and you can get 25% off the Heal DVD. So hope you enjoy, and good luck with the healing.
I know. Thank you so much, Kelly, for being a part and just imparting all the years, because I know it didn't just happen overnight for you. You've had years and years of going through it yourself, and how wonderful for us that you gave us such a beautiful gift with the Heal documentary, which it's one of my favorites. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, we will continue on with the Summit series on how to heal autoimmune diseases without using meds. We'll see you next time.